So Whitmore goes for 17 tonight. Over Cam Whitmore's last 8 games coming into this one, he averaged 12.9 points, shooting 44% from the field, 37% from three, 91% from the line, 4.4 rebounds per game, like 0.6 assists, which we've come to know and love from Cam Whitmore. We also recognize that at some point he's going to have to get better at this. He's absolutely going to have to figure out how to pass the ball. I think we've seen some signs, like a few signs that he's coming around as a passer and playmaker, but we're going to have to see a few more over the course of his career. But what I've really been encouraged by is actually the defense. I think he's showcased some really impressive moments defensively here and there where the engagement just looks a little bit better. So we're going to go back in time about a week ago. We're going to talk about Cam Whitmore, and we're going to talk about the Dallas game particularly. He played all of the second quarter and all of the fourth quarter in this game. Whitmore's rotations remain an enigma to me on some level, but that's the reality of where we're at here. So let's just kind of jump in and talk through the tape here. New layout. Hope that the quality and everything looks a bit better. So here, he's going to get the ball at the top, getting guarded by Spencer Dinwiddie. He's going to take a quick DHO from Fred VanVleet, and then we're just going to get into ISO cam zone, right? So this is about as classic Cam Whitmore as you're going to find. This is like a pseudo wrap pin. So for people who don't know, like a wrap pin play is going to be where you see these two down screens here getting set by Fred VanVleet and by Steven Adams. And then the man in the corner typically is going to come up this way and either take like a zoom Chicago action, or he's going to curl in here for a potential shot. A wrap pin is basically that you get this screen here, you get this screen here, and then the corner man's going to come up and set this screen for somebody to come up and either screen or get the ball or curl or do any of the things that I just said. So what happens here is you get this little rub wrap pin into a quick little catch by Fred, into a DHO from Cam. And I just want you guys to see how far Spencer Dinwiddie ends up going sliding here. Again, you kind of see all of the flaws and all of the good stuff that Cam Whitmore does all at once, right? You get to see the ability to stop-start, the ability to create his own shot, the looseness of the handle a bit here, right? Where he kind of loses the ball right here for a second. Then gets into his ISO game. And then he has ridiculous touch to be able to drill this shot. Yeah, I'd like to see him step back from three, but he's been doing a better job of that this year for the most part. Kind of a prototypical Cam Whitmore possession in a lot of ways. So a fun one to start with, but that's two of what I think he had 18 in this game, if I remember correctly. I think he had 18 in 24 minutes. I can pull that up while we're talking. 18, 3 rebounds in 24 minutes. By the way, I don't know if Rockets fans have checked out the Reed Shepherd G League experience yet. I would recommend it, is what I would say about that. I would recommend people look at the Rio Grande Valley Oklahoma City game. We might do a full breakdown of a G League game just because of this. I don't know. But Reed Shepherd went for 49 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds on 17 of 33 from the field. He took 19 threes. Just beautiful, beautiful basketball. Beautiful basketball in the G League from Reed Shepherd tonight. Okay. A lot of defensive clips here that we're going to talk about with Whitmore. This is good. These two pass off a switch right. Whitmore comes up off onto Hardy. Good communication, good work. I like the way he gets through this screen. Gets right up over the top. Stays tight to the screen, takes a great angle. One thing with Whitmore that I do notice defensively with him, his hips aren't like wildly flexible getting through screens. He is like kind of a thicker dude. He does get caught on them from time to time. This was a really good rep though. Now we get another communicated switch here. He's on PJ Washington. Perfect work. Gets back, fights through it, gets over the top. This isn't anything wildly complicated, but to me, it's pretty good attention to detail. Good switch, doesn't get lost. Gets up over the top of the screen. That would be a potential spot for a breakdown right here in this exchange in the corner. No breakdown. Does a good job navigating that screen, getting around lively. Good contest. Now they're out on the break, right? That's all Whitmore needs to do. It's all he needs to do. If he can do that stuff consistently, that's really, really good. When you pair it with his scoring ability on offense, that's enough. So this one, you can see him kind of creeping in, trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to be able to cut here? How is Alpi going to be able to hit me? So you get this little kind of combo action here where you have, I believe that's Holiday coming up over the top. You have Fred trying to set a 5-1 ball screen here, and Alpi's going to try and get downhill. Because of all of this action here, if Alpi beats Lively, Kleba has to be here for help. And as soon as Kleba gets there for help, Whitmore has the ability and the wherewithal and the intelligence to cut. Why do you cut here as opposed to standing in the corner? Because you make life harder on this guy. You make PJ Washington make a decision here between do I guard the cut or do I guard the 3-point line? If they're both at the 3-point line here, PJ can reasonably guard 1-on-2 here. PJ's a really good defender. Whitmore opens himself up, creates this little potential angle that was open a second ago. Then Alperin does a really good job of drawing Kleba to him again, finding this little in-between angle. Whitmore goes up, gets Lively in the air, physical, strong enough to be able to go through the contact. That's another reason why I loved Whitmore pre-draft. Physical, strong, powerful, goes up through the contact, finishes, makes the free throw. Up to 5 points now. Defensively again, this is the one breakdown that I really noticed defensively. And it is kind of classic Whitmore if he is going to break down defensively. So what happens here? You get this little rub screen here from Lively as Kleba kind of comes through to set this screen for PJ Washington. The Rockets are going to have him fight around the screen involving the 5-man. And then they're going to switch this little exchange here between Kleba and Washington. You can see here, Whitmore's eyes are on Washington, but his feet are just flat. He kind of turns his hips a little bit too far this way, and Washington realizes that he has an angle to the rim this way. It's small little attention to detail stuff. You can see how high he skies in the air. You can see the potential recovery ability. But by and large, that's where he's going to break down if he's going to break down. The good news in this game, didn't really have many breakdowns. I thought he was actually quite good defensively in this game. We're going to get another rep here. You know, look, he's guarding a guy that's a questionable shooter in Kleba. Not a terrible shooter, but a questionable one. He does a good job getting up onto Gafford here, tagging the roller while Alperin gets back. Then he gets the rebound. Now we're out. And he's just way more athletic and powerful and stronger than Maxi Kleba. Like, this is a play where they should not have an advantage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mavericks defenders for only 1, 2 Houston players. But this is where having somebody that has this immense amount of explosiveness and power really comes into play. Because if he can decide, I'm just going to go downhill before Daniel Gafford gets back while he's guarding the trailer, these are easy buckets that you're creating in transition for your team. I think Whitmore's really useful for this Rockets team that just like sometimes needs an influx of offense and playmaking. Jalen Green's been really good the last 4 games, but like his inconsistency does happen from time to time. I would like to have another body off the bench that can consistently play and can consistently be relied upon to give his teammates a bit of a punch from time to time. So this one, again, defensively, really good from Whitmore here. So on this roll, it's a little bit confusing, or I can see a reason why it would be a little bit confusing, let me say, for who the low man is on this. It's a well-spaced court. It's like a middle ball screen where you're not sure where exactly Kyrie's going to go, left or right. But you know Gafford is rolling here. This is Jalen Green's responsibility. Now, I will say, some teams, when you have Klay Thompson in the corner versus Maxi Kleba in the corner, will ask the strong side man on middle ball screens like this to kind of stunt and tag in from time to time, because you don't necessarily want to leave Klay Thompson wide open. That's really just all dependent upon what your scheme is. I wasn't in their meetings. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was. But by and large, Jalen Green is the weak side man here. He should be available to tag. What I like about this is, and what I like about Houston defensively in general, is that Fred VanVleet here is in perfect position as they blitz this ball screen. He is able to close out onto his man if the pass goes there. He is perfectly in between Kyrie's angle to shoot one over to Klay, which is part of what makes me say that the Rockets likely want Jalen Green to be the tagger here. So Green gets over a little bit late, but this is where having just a super athlete on the wing and on the corner being able to run over and make plays like this helps. He goes, gets the deflection. Now they're out in transition. Şengün drives, gets the early bucket. This is awesome. Like, this is really good work. Really simple. We're playing simple offense and simple defense here. It's kind of what I like about Houston. It's all about culture and all about playing defense and playing the game the right way. And this one, in the modern day, if Spencer Dinwiddie is going to leave you this much space in transition for you to walk into a 3 and you're a good shooter like Whitmore is, this is absolutely, unequivocally a shot you have to take. It's a no-brainer. He drills it up to like 9 or 10 points now. We're going to get the reversal to the wing. This one, you know, when I first watched it and I didn't realize like quite how tight this shot clock was. You know, we're at 5 seconds left on the shot clock. I was kind of like annoyed at first that Whitmore took this, but when the Mavericks decide to put 2 on the ball here against Fred, Jalen Green does a really good job of relocating up here. That's going to force this closeout. And then Clay has to X out here. That's what we mean by X out. Gafford's coming this way. Clay's recovering, coming this way. If you ever hear that term. You get the Whitmore jab step. Creates the separation. Like, this isn't a disastrous shot here. He gets it off. 1.4 left on the shot clock. Just a little short, but that's a shot that works for me given how late they were in the shot clock. They end up drawing the foul here too on Şengün, who I think got like bowled over underneath the rim. This one, you're going to get the kick out. Whitmore brings it back into Şengün. I love the 2-man game here. Honestly, I kind of think Whitmore might have just like stopped, surveilled, and taken the shot a year ago. And it would have been like a slightly contested jumper against Clay. But here, I love that he dribbles, goes between the legs, throws it back into Şengün. As soon as Clay helps down, Şengün gets rid of that ball real quick and sends it back out. And this is how you end up getting a more open shot. Again, like, I don't want to overreact and overstate stuff like this, but it's the little things like this that do lead to Whitmore getting more open shots consistently and likely being able to hopefully shoot a better percentage. Drills this one. Let's get to a quick little note from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action. There are over 10 million members. Like I said a second ago, they invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks always puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. We are big fans of Prize Picks here. We absolutely love the app and what they're doing for the daily fantasy sports scene. Download the app today and use code GameTheory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use that code GameTheory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So defensively here, guarding Klay Thompson. This is one example of just kind of getting caught on screens, right? I wouldn't say this is a disaster. You know, your third quarter, Dallas is not in the bonus, right? You're trying to stay attached to a really tough defender to guard off the ball on Klay Thompson. Klay does a really good job with just that little V move, V cut of setting him up and then coming back this way around the screen. And he ends up just getting tied up with Kleber. It's a foul. Is what it is. This one, Whitmore is the low man. Does a good job just being available here. Making Kyrie feel his presence, being a nuisance. This is kind of an overloaded side of the court. Him being the low man. I like how Jalen has stepped in between PJ Washington and Clay. because if he is to beat Alperin because Fred can't get over this screen, Whitmore does have to be the low man help there. So he has to at least be available. Even though he's guarding Clay, he has to at least be available and knowing what's going on. And because Alperin has gotten engaged, they just kind of decide to pseudo peel this. I know that Fred is like there, but Fred ends up deciding to kind of stay out high here. Alperin does a good job using his size, walling up, making life harder for Kyrie. You get that little deflection on the back end from Whitmore, and now you're out on the break. And guys, a wild pass has appeared. Look at this. Look, he's not manipulating anybody here. But the thing with Whitmore is that when he's in transition like this, he doesn't really have to. Guys like this are going to have to load up against him because he is so big and so physical. Like PJ has to be here. Kleba has to be here. He's going to be able to go through PJ Washington's body when he's downhill if those guys don't wall up and load up. Brooks drills the three, but hey, we're seeing passes. We're seeing where it's at. This one, they decide to put 2 on the ball. 1, 2. This is a little nice rub action there. Cam Whitmore is going to have to be the help man who stops this downhill drive. And you know what? Look, he doesn't wall up necessarily. I'd love to see him kind of wall up here. I love the way that he's down in a stance, though. I love that he's ready. He's sliding. PJ does a good job of using a crossover here, but Cam just drops his hips, stays in front, right? That's good work. That's really good work. Makes that a tough contested look from PJ Washington. So Whitmore here deals with the screen, fights over top. Again, he can get locked on these screens occasionally. That is a real factor with him. But he's so fast downhill and he's so explosive vertically that he has real margin for error to be able to deal with it when that happens. Here, gets around the screen, is able to kind of get back in the play and be able to use his leaping ability and length to be able to contest the shot there. And now we're downhill again. Going to the corner here, relocating. And again, this is just sick. So early screen action, little step up there. Fred's going to try and get downhill. Whitmore going to filter through to the corner. Still has 2 guys on him. Fred decides to get into like a little dribble handoff here. You can see that Adams is kind of setting up to come and set like a little secondary screen here if he needs it. Whitmore pumps here like he's going to shoot. Quentin Grimes comes flying out. PJ comes flying out. He stops. Drives. And this is where I think Whitmore is just like really special in a lot of ways. Look at the stride length, the ability to decelerate. That's why he is as good as he is as a scorer. There are not many guys who are going to be able to make Derek Lively just look like he is a statue like that. Kind of goes right with the Euro. Steps, comes around, easy lay-in. That's what makes him just a really, really special potential scorer. And why he's still averaging like 13 points in 20 minutes a game over his last 9 games. He can really, really score the basketball because of his physical tools. This one, Whitmore on the wing. Attention to detail and not getting ahead of yourself here, right? I actually think he's kind of trying to set up to do the right thing here and get this ball over to the streaming man down the court, who I think is Aaron Holiday. But he just loses the ball, right? And then, this is where the body language stuff, where people don't like it, comes into play. He kind of throws the hands up, gets frustrated with himself. That stuff bothers me a little bit less than it bothers other people, but I'll call it out at least. That's just the little focus, the little attention to detail things that need to continue to come forward with Whitmore. He's 20 years old. He's still super young. He's going to figure it out. But that's why he doesn't always play. There are little moments where you can kind of see through where he doesn't always play. Charles asks in the comments, I don't know if it's been covered, but do you see Cam's athleticism ever translating defense? Honestly, in this game I'm breaking down, really only had like one breakdown, that play against PJ. I think it absolutely can translate to defense. And look, we're going to, I think, maybe see another play here where it's going to, no, I lied. That was wrong. That's not this play. But to answer Charles's question, and I can't put it up on the screen because I'm using this new software and I don't know how to do that. I do think it can. The one thing I will say with Whitmore, though, like, yes, he's an elite athlete. Yes, he's super explosive. Yes, he has like pretty solid like lateral ability when he's sliding in one direction. The fact that he has that like kind of, I don't want to say stiff through his hips because like you saw that Euro step where he got all the way around, but he's a bigger body dude. And I do think that thing where he gets caught on screens is probably going to continue to happen a little bit more than maybe you would like to see with somebody like Whitmore athletically, defensively. But overall, as long as the engagement continues to be where it's been this season in the little 9-game stretch that he's played, where I think it's actually been like pretty okay. Yeah, I think that the athleticism can translate to him being a plus defender who is super switchable and makes these weak side rotations for steals and blocks. Like all of that stuff will exist, but he's not going to be a perfect defender. Like there are going to be flaws where things pop up and that'll be okay. Here, ends up just kind of getting swatted in transition. That's one where, you probably just love to see him pump fake here. But, no pump, whatever. This one, he's in the weak side corner here. Now we're out again in transition. It really is the deceleration for me mixed with the explosiveness that makes him just such a sick player. Like this is, or has potential to be a really sick player. Like the feel for the game, the passing, the attention to detail defensively, all that has to improve. But you can see the signs and you can see the flashes here. Like this is a long closeout. He sets up, gets the crossover, and then is able to slow down in such a manner to where Maxey is here. Any mismatch, like he is a walking mismatch nightmare waiting to happen against bigs. Like he's going to be hard to deal with against these guys throughout the course of his career, especially as he continues to get even more skilled with the ball in his hands. He's a very good shooter. Like I completely buy the shot. As a 3-point guy who can knock down pull-ups, hopefully can knock him down off the catch. So this one, you see him get kind of caught on this screen here for a second. In my opinion, like, Dinwiddie takes this DHO. Kleba, like, really, hits Whitmore here. This just needs to be a shot from Dinwiddie. But he allows Whitmore to get around. They decide to peel switch this and have Alpi out in space with Dinwiddie. Alpi just gets torched, but you do get the weak side help coming from Whitmore here. A, I love how engaged he is, how active he is. B, above the rim, right? Fingertips above the rim here. Dinwiddie's going to try and throw one down. Good luck. And now we're out on the break again. Whitmore's going to ask for a little lob here. Instead, it's going to go to Holiday, who misses. But there's just a lot to be excited about, I think. There's a lot to be excited about with all of this. So here, gets around the screen, fights back into it. I think this might be the last play that we're going to show. So here, gets around the screen. You can see Alpi here. He calls out just to peel it and for Whitmore to stay. Whitmore decides to recover. That gives Kleba this open lane to the rim. Because he has this open lane to the rim, Jalen ends up having to tag really far in. And that's what makes Quentin Grimes wide open here. That one is a breakdown on Whitmore. I lied. I thought he only had the one, but this is definitely a breakdown on Whitmore here. And the reason that it's a breakdown, and you can very obviously see that it's a breakdown, is that Alpi's finger is in the air here, and he's saying, hey, this is a peel. He's really got to be a little bit more active, in my opinion, at seeing what's happening in those moments. Just my take. Just my take there. Okay. That's our last. I think that is the last one. Last clip that we had from Whitmore. The last 5 minutes of this game got a little bit ugly, if I remember correctly. So what does all this mean? What does all this set us up for with Whitmore, right? I think he looks like a backup NBA wing right now. Just point blank. He's 20 years old. He's averaging a crazy number of points per minute. He's probably right around 20 points per 36 minutes. He is a very consistent scorer in that he can get you buckets. Like after tonight where he went 6 for 8 and 3 for 3 from 3, over his last 9 games, he's going to be at like 13 and a half points, shooting 46, 40, 91 from the field. I think that you can continue to play Whitmore because I think that the defense, even though we just saw that last little breakdown, I think that by and large, the defense has improved enough for him to play. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like he's some all-star level defender or anything like that. I don't think he's that yet. But I do think that there are enough tools here to where you can buy into him continuing to improve this season with further opportunities and reps. Look, I don't know if my impression is that Houston is going to be pretty happy to kind of roll with what it's got and then take their flexibility into the offseason. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of other teams around the league that'd be really interested to have Whitmore, but I'd be surprised if Houston ended up moving him. Who knows? Like, I'm not going to speculate. Like, he does have some press conferences where he's a little, it looks complicated with him. I think he probably wants to play, which is okay. That's a natural feeling, but we'll see. I would guess they're probably not going to move him though, based off of what we've seen. The upside is still quite high.